Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on one of the most brilliant yet perfectly hidden financial systems in the modern world, the credit card industry. We're going to reveal exactly how banks turn your mundane everyday purchases into a multi-billion-dollar profit engine. Let's dive right into the machine.
So, picture this incredibly common scenario. You walk into your favorite local spot, you're grabbing a $20 pizza, you get to the counter, pull out your wallet, and you just kind of tap your credit card against the reader. It's something we all do, right? Probably several times a day without even giving it a second thought. And then, bam, barely 5 seconds later, the machine beeps. You see that really satisfying payment approved message light up on the screen. You grab your hot pizza, turn around, and head right out the door. I mean, it feels incredibly simple, doesn't it? Totally seamless.
But wait, let's pause for a second and ask a really critical question here. Who actually just got paid in those 5 seconds? Because behind that single, super mundane tap of a piece of plastic, an entire hidden network. Banks, payment processors, credit card companies, they literally all just took a tiny cut of your dinner. And this invisible transaction, it happens millions of times a day all around the globe.
Chapter 1. The Illusion.
To really wrap our heads around this system, we first need to shatter a pretty massive illusion. You know, a lot of people treat their credit card like it's just free money, or maybe an extension of their checking account. But in reality, it is literally nothing more than a short-term loan. The bank is essentially spotting the store the cash for your pizza and then immediately turning right around to you and saying, okay, now you owe us.
Chapter 2. The Interest Trap. Now look, the banks aren't monsters, right? They do give you a grace period. If you pay it all off before the due date, you pay absolutely zero interest. But if you don't, well, you step right into their biggest trap. Let's visualize how this works. Step 1, you spend $1,000. Step 2, you decide to only make the minimum payment. Now in Step 3, that remaining balance doesn't just sit there doing nothing, it actively starts collecting interest. So by Step 4, the math has completely turned against you. You are literally paying interest on money you already owed. It just starts compounding.
And if you keep delaying, man, that initial $1,000 you spend can slowly and painfully snowball. Month after month, it just climbs. It becomes $1,300, then $1,500, and suddenly you look up and boom, it's $2,000. And that compounding interest? That is exactly what banks hope happens because interest is, hands down, their absolute biggest source of profit.
Moving on to Chapter 3. Swipe fees.
Now here is the truly fascinating part about all this. Even if you are perfectly disciplined and pay your bill on time every single month, the bank is still making money off of you every single time you swipe. But here's the catch. The shop owner is the one charged a tiny processing fee, usually like 1 to 3% of the purchase, while the store keeps the rest. Now, a tiny slice like 3% might sound totally insignificant, but when you aggregate that across millions of global transactions every single day, it turns into billions of dollars in invisible revenue.
Chapter 4. Hidden Traps.
See, the banks know human nature. They know life gets crazy busy, and let's be real, people forget payments. They actually rely heavily on you making that error. Missing just one single payment triggers an absolute cascade of consequences. Suddenly, late fees miraculously appear. Higher penalty interest rates are applied, and just like that, one innocent little mistake instantly becomes a very, very expensive lesson. Which brings us to Chapter 5, The Truth About Rewards.
Right about now, you might be thinking, okay, but what about all those amazing perks? You know, the cashback, the travel points, the free airline miles. And honestly, yeah, those perks are great, but we really have to look at this clear-eyed. Banks do not give out rewards because they're just super generous institutions looking out for your next vacation. There is always a calculated catch.
It really all comes down to behavioral psychology. The points in the cashback, they act as the perfect bait. Why? Because banks know for a fact that when rewards are on the table, people naturally just spend more. You swipe more often, and you might even borrow more just to hit some crazy sign-up bonus. So the more you use the card, the more endless opportunities you're giving the bank to profit off those fees and interest we were just talking about. Basically, you are the catch.
Chapter 6. The Money Machine. When you take a step back and really look at the big picture of this whole ecosystem, you start to realize just how many interconnected ways they monetize your daily existence. Just look at how all these revenue streams stack up. You've got compounding interest, swipe fees, late fees, annual fees, foreign transaction fees, balance transfers. I mean, it's wild. Sure, a single customer might not seem like a big deal, but multiply this by millions of people globally, you've got yourself an unstoppable, highly optimized money printing machine.
Finally, Chapter 7. Beating the System.
Fortunately, there is some genuinely good news here. Credit cards aren't inherently evil, right? They are simply tools. The real trick to beating the system comes down entirely to your mindset. See, a poor mindset treats a credit card like it's free money to just stretch out an income, and that's exactly the trap. But the winning mindset? That mindset treats a credit card exactly like cash. You never spend money you don't already have sitting in your checking account, and you absolutely always pay your balance in full every single month.
Because if you have the discipline to actually adopt this winning mindset, you completely flip the script on the banks. Instead of the bank making a ton of money off of you, you're going to be the one walking away with the cash back. You're the one enjoying the free flights, and you're reaping all the rewards without ever paying a single cent of interest to the bank. It's a total game changer.
Ultimately, the biggest difference between rich people and broke people isn't the fact that they have credit cards. It's exactly how they use these tools. The bank's entire business model, their ultimate hope, is that you slip up. They want you to stay in debt so they can just keep their money machine running smoothly. So your only goal should be making absolutely sure you never do. I'll leave you with this final thought to consider the very next time you tap that plastic at the checkout. The bank hopes you stay in debt. So, are you going to let them?